Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. Before we get started, I just want to show you this. This is my Twitter account. I am real_Bill_Smith. Man, it's kind of gotten out of control. I've never done Twitter before. I'm not that good at it. I've made some mistakes already. But there's a lot of information that's happening over here. There's a lot of stuff I just will never be able to get it into a video. You know, a video is more of like a short conversation. And a tweet is more like, I don't know, a little snippet, right? So you can see, I mean, I've had almost 45,000 impressions in 24 hours. That's big for me, man. I just never really thought. I don't know what other people have, but I think I read that I have had like almost 500,000 impressions in 2 weeks. It's kind of a lot. So I just want to show you this. There's information over here. You can kind of track the conversation. I talked about this yesterday, this Baruch the Scribe guy, where he got his name. Found that to be interesting. I think you did too. But a little while ago, I talked about Roseanne. Now, I somewhat support Roseanne because, you know, she's part of our team, or so we thought. Then the Tommy Robinson stuff happened, and I did not want to look at it, man. I can tell you, I just didn't want to see it. I didn't want to look at it, and I sure as heck didn't want to believe it. But it's true. And now I've started to look at other people who control these conversations. So think about this. Social justice warriors versus Steven Crowder. Has Steven Crowder ever said that he supports Palestine or he's not a Zionist? Just think about it. And then think about transgenders versus Jordan Peterson. Most of you know Jordan Peterson's take on it, okay, but he's a self-proclaimed Zionist. He says that he gave a whole talk on how he is a Zionist. So we're not. Where do you start? You know, like that's my question now. Like, where do you start? There's just too many. Every single one of them, every single alt media leader, every single conservative leader, are all self-proclaimed Zionists. Now, don't you think that's weird that both sides of the aisle, it doesn't matter where you're at in the conversation, it doesn't matter what conversation you're having, both sides support Zionism. Think about it. I'm not telling you to change your mind. I'm not telling you to be a different person or take a different worldview. I'm just telling you, think about that. People are willing Antifa versus, neo-Nazis or whatever you want to call them. Think about that one. I mean, that's the hardest part. That was the hardest thing for me to get my mind around. Both of those sides seem to be pro-Zionist or are Zionist-backed. So you get involved in these low-level conversations, and I'm telling you, the answer is 2 levels up every single time. So with that, I'll just roll into what I know about Roseanne at this point. Roseanne, back somewhere between 2008 and 2012, was a 16th degree Mason. Now, I didn't know this until this morning. Someone sent me a tweet. That's why I'm going to plug their channel here in a second. But the thing that stood out to me was red gloves. So I watched this video called Roseanne Barr Says She Made a Deal with Satan. And she jokes about it because she's a comedian and it's so funny. Ha ha ha. Right. Now, the weird thing about this video is that she's wearing red gloves. Look at that. Have you ever seen anybody wear gloves on late night talk? I've never seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody wear stark red gloves on TV anywhere. And I've never seen anybody wear gloves on late night talk show, ever. So that kind of stood out to me, and that's what kind of got me interested in looking at that. And then this morning I got someone send me a tweet here. So shout out to this guy. His name is, you can find him at LANDDERTOTEN. You got to use capital L and T, I think. But he said, look, the red gloves and the 2 small crowns are a sign of the 16th degree Masonic called Prince of Jerusalem. Prince of Jerusalem. Look at her jacket. So I did, and then I went and looked at this guy's link, so I'll show you that here in a second on Google Translate. So he pointed out, Their symbols will be their downfall. The last post was actually symbolism will be their downfall. So if you want to go look for this post, make sure to search for symbolism or symbol. But it calls out, the snake, some red stuff, and the Vatican. And the Vatican, I believe, is where this Masonic stuff is kind of emanating from. It's all Zionist, all of it. It looks that way to me anyway. Here's the link that he sent me. I'll post this in the description. I think you should go use Google Translate if you're interested in kind of actively participating in this conversation, because I didn't know about all the individual symbolism for all the different levels of Masonry. I had to go translate this. This is what it translates to. He's right, there it is. Okay, the 16th degree is called the Prince of Jerusalem. Red, orange padded and edged apron, red gloves, orange, gold-bound ribbon with scales, arms of righteousness, dagger, 5 stars, and 2 small crowns. The medal of the degree shows on one side a hand with a Libra, on the other side a 2-handed and 5 stars. Now I can't make some stuff out from what she's wearing, but I did notice everything that he pointed out is true, and I'll show you that right now. This is what I use for photo editing, just for little snippety stuff. It's called paint.net. It's really, really easy to use. It takes about a day to get used to, but it's kind of like a scaled down Photoshop. So if you want to do the same stuff that I do, you can use paint.net. But here we go. Okay, so there's the gold ribbons. And I bet if you look closely enough, here's the rest of the symbols. I bet she's got all of it on right now. But the important part is that here's the big crown and the 2 small crowns. You see the 2 small crowns? Now, if you just had 2 small crowns, you wouldn't know that they were small. So you got to have the big crown above it to show that these are 2 small crowns. And then, of course, I've already pointed out the red leather gloves on late night TV, because, that happens all the time. And then it's just worth pointing out that it's on the channel of the All-Seeing Eye. They use it's just like, there it all is. This isn't, I think that this part down here, I think that's the scales. I can't make it out. Honestly, the crowns and the red gloves are enough for me. I mean, I don't know, man. It's just they're just so in the open with it, Now, of course, they did this. I mean, Roseanne is controlled opposition. She's not on our side. I just want to make that really clear. She's a Mason. She's part of the system. She's a conservative voice, but she's pro-Zionist. And she's out there. I think that late night stuff, this is what Serial Brain 2 said. Serial Brain 2 had a very, very interesting theory. And he said that she called out Valerie Jarrett because Valerie Jarrett's about to hit mainstream media. People are about to know who Valerie Jarrett is. And, she called out Valerie Jarrett, so now people know her as being associated with some little racist meme. So Valerie Jarrett can now be a victim. So when the rest of the idiots come along from mainstream news, people that are just walking around asleep in the world, when they wake up and they know that Valerie Jarrett name, they're going to have already associated her with being under attack through racism. So that's what the whole point was of Roseanne doing what Roseanne did. It's not to call Valerie Jarrett out. It's not to bring Valerie Jarrett's name into the public eye. People who know about Valerie Jarrett already know about her. Okay, and no one else is going to care other than Valerie Jarrett can now claim victimhood status. And Roseanne made this all happen because after her one single season on TV, now she's she's got the biggest TV show in mainstream media anyway. Actually, probably the biggest one in the country. And now she can use that platform to point out things before they happen. So that's what's happening. That's the trick. That's why you can never see it. It's like 3 levels deep. And the next level, if you go 2 more levels after that, you'll get to Zionism. So don't stop at level 1, 2, or 3. If you can hit 4, good for you, but don't stop there. You got to go to that 5th level. It's Zionism. That's where this all starts. If you want to keep these problems from happening, from leaking out, understand you got to go to the source, you got to go to the spigot, and you got to turn it off. You got to stop plugging the holes in the garden hose, because there will be more holes. People will throw more snakes in your house. You have to go to the source and you got to stop it. And Roseanne is there to make sure that you don't do that. So here she was on Craig Ferguson. I just want to point out. So I don't know which one of these that episode points to. I just know that somewhere between 2006 and 2012, I think it's this one based on when it was uploaded to YouTube. I think it's this one. So I'm just going to take a guess here. And my guess is that in 2011, she was a 16th degree Mason. Who knows? Who knows how far she is now, okay? Kind of weird that she got her show back after Trump got elected. They have to get control of the conservative message. They've lost control of it. Trump wasn't supposed to win. At least that's where I'm leaning at this point, man. I hope that he was not another Barack Obama. Man, I feel good about Trump. I'm on the Trump train, but I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. That's where I'm at. That's my thinking here. So if Trump, in fact, was not supposed to win, then that's why Roseanne got that reboot, is so that she can be a leader in the conservative movement and push conservative messages and point you away from Israel and away from Zionism. I got a few minutes left, so I'm going to spend some time on this guy's Twitter account. I suggest you go over here and follow him. He hasn't tweeted a lot, but the stuff he has tweeted recently has been gold, right? I also want to point this out. Whenever you see stuff like this, you see these long strings of numbers and text on the end of a name. Those are usually bot accounts. Usually. Okay, I don't know if they are or not. I'm just saying that's how you use a computer program to create a bunch of accounts, you know? Because you got to you ever tried to create a Twitter account? You know, you got to guess a handle and it says it's taken, and you got to guess a handle and it's taken. So if you do that through a computer program, you'll get blocked. So the way they get around it is they automatically make the accounts like this with all the string of numbers on it. So when you see that, it's always suspect. Look at the information, verify it. That's all you can do. But when you see people get involved in conversations that don't have more than 50 followers and don't have more than 100 follows, right? And they don't have a profile picture and they don't have a header, just understand it's a fake, you know? It's not a real person. It's not a real person. It's generally a computer program that someone is using to blast a message out to knock down conversations. I get that a lot. I've been seeing it. So I'm going to come up here because this guy had some awesome stuff that I hadn't seen about 9/11 precog stuff. Check this out. 30 seconds over New York. You see that? Communism, right? And here's the good part. By the way, this was done in 1970. I want to point that out. So that was in 1970. I think this is during the Red Scare. This is the interesting one, though. Look, that's in 1993. See that over there? That plane hitting the towers? And you see this guy? It's almost like a Jewish guy meme right next to the Statue of Liberty holding up his light. I don't know what any of this stuff says. You can come over here and look for yourself if you're interested. This is the one that caught my eye, though. This is in 1975. I thought that was interesting. I thought I'd show it to you. All right, so the whole purpose of this video, and I think where I'm going to have to focus my time going forward, because I get a huge amount of pushback from people. I think there's people that are supporting me that are pro-Zionist. So if you see that, I'm just telling you, it took me a long time to get here. 6 months ago, I was like, am I pro-Israel? After 20 years of realizing that every rabbit hole has a Jew behind it, I was thinking, am I pro-Israel? And that's how dumb I was, even 6 months ago. So it's not an easy thing to work up to. I'm just telling you, I'm not pro-Israel anymore. The United States is pretty much an extension of Israel. It's not the other way around. They're not our ally, okay? They've already bombed our ships. They're ruining our culture. They're doing it on purpose. It's systemic. And they have gatekeepers at every point in time. Find a conservative voice or an alt media leader who's not pro-Zionist. Go ahead. Until next time, it's Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.